Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff from the Cyber Pro Podcast, back with another episode this afternoon. Today, I've got Vince on the podcast, who is from New Skin out in Utah, and we're going to spend the next 5 minutes talking about what cybersecurity means to him. Shocker, the title of the podcast. And on that, question number one, Vince, thank you for being on the podcast. I hope you're well. If you could, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Great. Vince Romney, really appreciate being here, Jeff. And I am one of those people who I guess occasionally gets called a Renaissance man just because I like to learn and do all the things. If it's interesting, I like to do that. And that's what sucked me into cybersecurity in the Air Force, as I got pulled in because it was an interesting tack to take. So I am fundamentally a security practitioner. I've been in many of the common security roles at some point in either military or civilian career. And currently I'm the enterprise security architect for Nu Skin.
Wonderful. And on that, being a C-suite individual, can you please share with us the most fascinating or fascinating aspects of about being a cyber professional during these silly times? Let's be honest.
I think that cyber has been one of the most genuinely bizarre places to be during this time frame. And that's what attracts me to being in cyber in the first place, is it is always new, it's always changing, there's never a status quo. And I think that's the best part about being a cyber professional at this time, is status quo doesn't exist. We are trying to figure out what normal is, and it keeps changing.
Brilliant. We're trying to figure out what normal is, and that keeps changing. Love it. I might go back to that. Question number three. We hear from other industry leaders like yourself that cybersecurity is not only a top concern, but it's growing exponentially. When you hear a statement like that, what does that mean to you?
To me, that really boils down to cybercrime. If it weren't for the fact that people are making boatloads of money out of our lack of cybersecurity, we wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't have a job, but we wouldn't have a problem. And so it's that concept that we have the bad guys to thank for this becoming a top concern of our C-suite individuals. But that alone, that whole concept should make us take a step back and think about it. Is that we've been forced into this by criminals.
Yes, indeed. And at the end of the podcast, I'm going to go back to a meme that I saw recently, and I'd love to get your opinion on that. But let's skip to question number four, which is, what insights or advice about who owns cyber risk in your organization would you care to share with our audience?
I think the concept of risk ownership is the foundation to how we operate as cyber professionals. Until you've been able to define with your C-staff and your board of directors, what your direction is for risk appetite, you're fighting a losing battle in your own personal cyber war. Your ability to be effective as a cyber professional comes down to a defined risk appetite from your leadership.
And that can be a very arduous process when you're talking to a group of people who respectfully don't have a firm of a grasp of the situation or threats as you do. So it's part education before directive, which can be challenging.
Absolutely. And from my military background, I find that conversation is a common conversation, even within an organization that is a risk organization like the military. Being able to up-chain and up-channel risk in the proper way is imperative. A great book to read on that topic is Call Sign Chaos by General Mattis.
Let's get back to that in a second too, but let's wrap up with a final question. What is your favorite piece of retro technology that makes you smile?
I am a technology fan, and because it has existed for millennia in some form or fashion, I kind of look at the seminal things that are interesting to me that changed or revolutionized something. Mechanical watches, fascinating to me. I love how intricate and functional they are, but they were a revolution in how time became a benchmark in the working world. I love the phonograph. Again, it's integration of mechanical and electrical technology to move music from live performance to the masses. It was no longer mandatory when the phonograph became common to go somewhere to hear music. I actually still have my turntable from when I was a kid, and I use it. It's over here in my office. And then I think lastly, for me, if I were to define a piece of technology that I still look at and smile, it's the original coil pickup first used on electric guitars. I have a collection of the guitars, and it led again, technology that led a revolution, and that revolution changed the face of music forever. So those are kind of my three big ones.
Love it. Love it. I always love this question because I find that the more of a veteran that a technologist is, the more basic the retro technology is that gets them to smile. So thank you for that. If people are interested in learning a little bit more about you, Vince, about your company, about some of the things that we discussed today, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Honestly, best place for me is LinkedIn. I'm the only Vince Romney on LinkedIn. In fact, to my knowledge, I'm the only Vince Romney in existence. So you Google it and it never comes back with anything but me. So yeah, that's the best option.
Love it. Thank you very much, Vince. I appreciate your time today. Again, my name is Jeff. This is the Cyber Pro podcast, where every week we upload 2 or 3 episodes and talk with industry leaders and veterans about cybersecurity. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you, well, probably tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.